champs in conference play. They know you, you know them, and there's always a little trickle of bad blood here and there, particularly when both teams are ranked as these two are in this one. Welcome to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa City, Iowa, home of the Hawkeyes. As we'll see the number 8 team in the country, the Michigan Wolverines, taking on the winners of 3 straight, the Iowa Hawkeyes. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, here with David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. Guys, let's get this thing rolling. And the Hawkeyes will kick it away to start. And he takes this from inside the 5. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. So the Michigan Wolverines offense will have the football first. And what a performance, an aerial show from this guy in the last game, and he has to have a ton of confidence coming into this one, Dave.
Yeah, it was a great week, and watching that tape before this...
Breaks into the open. Quick step and go. They finally get him on the ground, but he's got an explosive play for the first down.
What a run, man. I tell you what, it's hard to pop runs. It's hard to get 3, 4, 5, 6 yards a lot of times. But when you got backs like this who can make huge plays with the speed, getting out in the open field, can take it the distance on every play, defenses are scared out of their mind.
It's 1st and 10. They've moved it to the 41. To the air, it's Underwood. Bringing the heat. Dumps it off in the flats. How about this sophomore stopping him short of the first down line? This crowd bringing the energy and noise early. Out of the gun, the inside handoff, looking for a crease. Down to the 26-yard line before they ride him out of bounds, and this defense is on its heels. Coming out on first down with the play fake. Got his man on the outside. He makes the... As soon as he catches it, and they're short of the first down. Backed up now, here's 2nd and long. Back to pass. Fires left. And the pass is incomplete thanks to a big hit. Kinnick is having a conniption fit to try to help the D on 3rd down. From the gun, wants to pass. Unloads to the wideout. Got his man downfield. They make the tackle, but he's got a fresh set of downs, and it's 1st and goal from the 7. They'll try to get it in with the run. He bullies his way all the way down to the 5-yard line. Man down on the play as the officials take a break to let him be checked out. Now 2nd and goal, and right in the teeth of this noise. He'll run it to the right, looking for the goal line. That is a big win for this defense as they were right there as soon as he got the ball. 3rd and goal, and they'll try to pass it in. And they can't make the connection on 3rd down, but hold everything. There is a flag. Let's see what that's about. Late hit on the quarterback gives this offense a free first down and some yardage. Wants to adjust the pattern. Toss to the outside. They'll knock him down for a loss of a couple. Can the D deny them on 2nd and goal? Looking for a path to the end zone to the right. And there were no creases or crevices to run through, and they shove him out of bounds. 3rd and goal, and let's see if they can even operate in this noise. Going for 6. Touchdown, Wolverines. Quick strike through the air for the score.
And I think a lot of people probably expected to see that, right? They're playing on the road, and you know this is going to be a hostile environment, but they've got the better players, and we've seen that before. And there was no hesitation. Opening drive, they go right down the field, they score a touchdown, and they made a statement.
Getting set for the extra point after putting the scoreboard to work for the first time. And the PAT makes it 7-0. They put it in the end zone with a 12-play scoring drive. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. He'll bring it back from inside his 5. Nice job by the kickoff team. Everybody stayed in their lanes, and they'll stop him at the 16. So the Iowa Hawkeyes offense will take the field for the first time. As we take a quick look at the impact players for today's game, what players did you guys look to for motivation to make an impact during your playing days, Jesse?
Well, it was the guys we relied on each.
There he goes! Makes the tackle at the 32, but they were backed up inside their 20, and they pick up 15. Wants to go up top on 1st down. Fires to the big fella. Caught, and he's close to a 1st down on the nice pickup there. The Hawkeyes can play this 2nd down a lot of ways with just a few yards to go. Gets rid of it. And it'll be incomplete. This is some physical pass defense. That last incomplete pass has him staring at a 3rd and 3. On 3rd and short, they'll try to convert through the air. Hines is tight end. He'll have enough for the 1st down, and they stop him at the 45. And the Hawkeyes are on the move. Leaves it with the back. And the defense stops him just short of the 1st down. Maybe needed a few more chain links to move the sticks. Power football with the run. And they'll stop him just short of the 1st down, just inches away from moving the sticks. He'll sneak it and try to surge forward. And he just needed a few inches, and the defense was surly and nasty and said, no, sirree. And no shot at a return here as the punt goes out of bounds. Guys, here come those maize and blue winged helmets on offense. Already a solid start to this one. Now back to work with this 7-0 lead. And he never had a chance. Just stopped cold as soon as he got it. Looking to throw, it's Underwood. Quickly out to the tight end. Tackled almost immediately. They're well short of the 1st down. Looks as if the defense was a little too eager there. Got into the neutral zone, and that'll be a 5-yard penalty.
Encroachment defense.
Defense a little too eager. That's an encroachment penalty, 5 yards for the offense. To the ground with the back. And with that effort, they pick up a fresh set of downs. They have it at the 34-yard line. The Wolverines have it with a 1st and 10. The pull and throw off the RPO. And he was able to run through one tackle, but still only a modest gain. What will they dial up on 2nd and a long way to go? The play action fake. Just a short pass to the tight end. They make the stop, but there is a flag on the field. We'll see what that's all about. Just an obvious holding call there, and one that just kills an offense's momentum. 2nd down, they'll go to the air. Makes the catch. It's Marsh. They bring him down, but a solid pickup to put them in position to pick up a 1st down. These Hawkeye fans know exactly what to do to get behind this D on third down. They knock him down, but he's got enough to get it across the line and pick up the first down. And the Wolverines kept this drive moving on the ground, now back to work. They're going to go right back to him on first down.
Man, when I can run the football like that on first down and create second and inches and stay way ahead of the sticks and be in a position now where I can throw the football or run, I will have a lot of success on the offensive side of the football.
And he's almost to that first down marker there, saying he's a little bit short. They might want to bring out the sticks and measure, but it looks as if he'll be just short of the first down. We've reached the end of one, and as is tradition here in Iowa City, we take a moment to say hi to the children of the University of Iowa Stead Family Children's Hospital. Hello, kids. Always a treat to be here at Iowa and take part in a special moment. Hope these kids enjoy the rest of the game as we play on into the second quarter. This offense had a little extra time to think about it. Let's see what they have on third down. They make the stop, and he'll have enough yardage for a first down. Oh, it's a reverse. And a 9-yard gain on first down leaves them with second and short. They'll leave it with him. Plows through the defense. And there was nowhere to go, just stopped in his tracks in the backfield. They'll run the toss. He's not going to make it. What a job by this defense to stop him in his tracks. Here comes the field goal unit as they'll try to take the 3. This whole place going to see if this kicker can operate in a sea of noise. No good. And the margin remains at 7 after the miss. Iowa has the ball back on offense. They've taken a couple of punches to the jaw, and now they'll try to get this offense going down a couple of touchdowns. This freshman makes the stop after a short gain, after picking up a couple at 2nd and 8. He'll pull it on the read. A confident, tough, efficient run gets it up to the 44. The Hawkeyes come to the line on third down, trying to keep this drive alive. They'll try to get the first through the air. And it's incomplete on third down. The punt team makes its way onto the field. This will be the second time they've had to kick it away. You'd think they would have had a good chance to down that one deep, but the bounce carries it into the end zone for the touchback. The give to the right. Some hard running there, but just too many defenders as he stopped for a loss. A negative play to open the drive. Let's see what they've got on 2nd and 14. Back to throw, it's Underwood. Quickly complete. They make the stop, but not before he takes a chunk out of what they need to move the sticks. Here comes this home crowd as the defense tries to get off the field on third down. From the gun, wants to pass. Grab near the marker, it's Everett. He moves the chains, and they'll mark the ball at the 33. The Wolverines have it with a 1st and 10. Looking to throw on first down. Fires to the big fella. Let's take a minute to talk about Michigan. They've climbed into the top 10, been through some battles, proving themselves to be one of the best teams in the country. What do you think about their chances of staying there?
Well, they got to keep playing at a high level, and obviously they've had tons of success now to crack into the top 10. I'll tell you, when you get top 10, David, you get everybody's attention.
Yeah, you get everybody's attention, but I hope this team ain't just searching for a top 10. Like, I hope they're trying to be the best team in the country, and you hope the best is...
He lofts one down the sideline. And trying to put points on the board on third down. Now they're staring at fourth down. And the Wolverines will try to pin them back with the punt. Getting our first look of the afternoon at the punter. He'll wave for the fair catch and haul it in at the 25. Iowa has it back on offense, hoping to ride the wave to the end zone. We'll see if they can be a little more productive this time around. A 3-and-out the last time they had the ball. Still running at the 40. He gets those chains moving, gets it out to the 42-yard line. After a big gainer on that first play, now they can really go for it on 1st and 10. Getting closer and closer to midfield, out of bounds. They'll mark it at the 47. Halfway there on 1st down, it's 2nd and 5. Off the play fake. He's taking the shot. Intercepted. Big play stops the drive. And he's wrapped up after a solid return on the pick.
Well, the defense comes away with the pick there with their nickel personnel. And I think moving forward, if you're on offense, when you see that personnel on the field, you want to run the ball against it because you got smaller guys out there. Or if you're going to throw, think about quick screens outside when you have tight ends flexed on the perimeter, bigger bodies blocking smaller guys.
And here comes the Michigan offense back on the field. They'll have another opportunity to extend this lead after punting last time, David.
And it's important to put that punt behind you. It's over. Let it go. Get back to what you were doing that built this lead, Paul.
Yeah, and defense, obviously, they won a few downs that last drive, so we got to put them on their heels here. Maybe mix up a few personnel groupings and try to show them some pictures they haven't seen yet.
And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage. Wide receiver comes in motion. Handoff from the gun. Got enough for the first. They finally wrestle down the senior, but not before he picks up some valuable ground. Down to the 16-yard line, it's 1st and 10. Here's a quick throw out to the left. They'll get it down to the 8-yard line on that throw and catch, and the defense is backed up against the wall. They'll run the counter. That is a big win for this defense as they were right there as soon as he got the ball. Boy, they'd love to pick up this conversion and go to work with a 1st and goal. He's going to lose a yard on that one. And now on 4th down, they'll try a field goal. This crowd trying to do its part to get inside the kicker's head. Just drives it between the uprights. And that will extend their lead even further.
Man, so many more times we're going to say, go for it, be aggressive. Nice to have a guy you can depend on, and you know you're putting 3 on the board. Nice kick, nice job.
On the run from inside his own 5. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. No reason to be in a big rush. They have some time here late in the half. And the quarterback is knocked down back at the 13.
What a great play. This guy is a force on this D-line. You think about Michigan football defensively, they've got dudes up front. Aiden Hutchinson, Brandon Graham, Mozzie Smith, Rashawn Gary. Guys that can win one-on-one and guys that change and force your game plan to have to adapt for them. You need to double team these guys if you want to have any chance. This is that type of player. He's got so much ability.
They'll try to keep that sack from wrecking this drive here on 2nd and 15. And they'll stop him after a minimal pickup. Quick timeout by the defense there, trying to make sure everyone has the same call. Not exactly the ideal situation for this offense. 3rd and long, backed up inside their 20. The defense calls the timeout. Their 2nd of the day as they try to get their act together. And the Hawkeyes line up to punt it away. And the returner runs out of real estate as he goes down. They'll move the wide receiver to the air. It's Underwood. Hauls it in. He's brought down, but there's a flag on the play. Let's see if it stands. Holding penalties, the ultimate drive killer. We'll see if it costs this offense here. Here's the snap, ready to cut one loose. Caught over the middle. It's Gilliam. They make the stop, trying to pick up just a little bit at a time to get to that first down mark. Wants to fire on second down. And that's going to be incomplete. A lot of contact on the play, but no flags. It'll be third down. On the move.
And you could tell the QB wants to run. He's going to be a big part of the game plan, and the defense really, really understands that. I got to understand, and more importantly, when I get a lick on this cat, I got to take it. Like, not dirty, not cheap shots, but end of the plays, when I can be physical and really make him feel me, I think that'll always bode well in a fourth quarter game.
Looking downfield on first down. And here's a fumble way behind the line. And the defense jumps on it, and they get that turnover.
And the defense able to get pressure to the quarterback, and they've got everybody trying to swipe at the football, and the impact on the hit sometimes jars the ball loose. Great job with the pass rush, and a better job forcing a turnover.
Here we go. They'll try to get something on the board here in the final minute of the first half. They're going to open this drive with a pass. Gets it out quickly. They've got it down to the 3-yard line. Really well done on that throw and catch. We got a timeout here late in the first half, and they'll try to get more points on the board before the break. Dropping back, it's Underwood. Using the back as a receiver on the screen. That completion has them right on the doorstep. They'll mark it at the 1. The defense calls the timeout, and that's their last one of the half. Trying to get it done with the run here on 3rd and goal. Into the end zone he goes. Touchdown, Michigan. The mantra is always finish, and they're trying to do that here in the regular season with this Week 12 performance.
Well, this offense is top 10 in the country in points per game because they've got a lot of speed and they've got home run hitters. They score fast. They don't need 10 plays to go down the field. You saw it right there. They've recruited well. They've got playmakers. They're going to be a problem for defenses all year long.
Let's go to the studio now and check in with Kevin Connors. Kevin, what do you got?
Fellas, a big-time top 15 duel. Let's get right to it. Tennessee is on top, but it's not like Peyton Manning or T. Martin are playing quarterback today, which is why they can't pull away. They're up by 7 over Auburn. Week in and week out in the SEC, it's a battle of attrition, and if anything big changes, you'll hear about it here.
And how about that one? Kevin will be keeping an eye on everything going on elsewhere. Really good job to pick up a chunk of yardage and get it out to the 39-yard line. To the air on first down. Complete. Oh, he's got some space. Excellent job working through the air there, finding a hole in that defense and picking up a first down. Looking to throw on first down. Quickly to the tight end. And they bring him down quickly, but a good gain there. Time dwindling away as they try to put points on the board right before the half. Back to throw, time running short in the half. Working that left side now. He'll be brought down, and that's the final play of the half. First half in the books. Time now to join Kevin Connors in our halftime update.
Guys, one of the best environments in the game, and Iowa City has given us a fun first half. And this offense has been the story through 2 quarters, extending this lead and really dominating almost every aspect of this game. We're talking lethal efficiency from the O-line right on down to the skill position guys. Although I'd argue those big uglies up front are skilled players in their own right. And with that, let's send it back to Duke Slater Field at Kinnick Stadium.
The Wolverines will kick it away to crank up the second half. He'll start the return inside his 5. He was looking for some running room, but not much to be found as he stopped at the 18. Iowa has the ball back on offense. Trailing now by 17, David. This is an opportunity that they need to answer.
And down by 17, it's not panic mode yet. Like, I know we just gave up some points and our defense hasn't played great. I think this offense can still be who they are and stay consistent.
No doubt, lots of football to go, but you do get the feeling this is the time of game where, you know, it could get bad. If you don't score and all of a sudden they get the ball back, they take it down the field and put some points up, this thing might be over. So absolutely, this quarterback, he wants to drive this offense down the field and at least put something on the board.
The Hawkeyes decide to punt it away. He'll be content with the field position, making the fair catch right around the 30-yard line. So, guys, we'll get another look at this offense. The run from the shotgun. How about this sophomore stopping him short of the first down line? After the productive first down play at 2nd and 6. Dropping back, it's Underwood. Makes the grab. And a good job of coverage by that defense, just a short pickup. And the Wolverines line up, trying to move the sticks on 3rd and short. Snagged in the middle, it's Everett. He's got first down yardage across the 50. They'll mark it at the 49. They just keep throwing him the ball, this time on the slant.
No doubt, and you've seen it with the slant. You've seen other routes. Every route he's running, he's good. He seems to be open, so I'm going to continue to pick at this matchup every chance I get.
The Wolverines will line it up on 1st and 10. Wants to throw on 1st down. And the physical play there forces the incompletion on 1st down. Looks as if we have an injury on that last play, and we'll take a break to check him out. Try to make up for some of that lost ground on 2nd down. After the incompletion, back to the passing game. And the defense picks up a sack, getting the quarterback down at the 44.
Man, it didn't take long for the defense to get home on that play. You see them playing man coverage in the back end, slowing down the routes from the receivers and the rest of the offense. That forced the quarterback to have to hold on to it for just a split second longer, and they were able to get the sack.
Now a lot of work to do to move the chains, keep this drive alive after that earlier sack. On 3rd and long, doesn't need to take the check down. Oh, he dropped it. That deep ball was right on the money. You just have to make that catch. And the Wolverines will line up to punt it away. He'll try to really get into this one. Signal goes into the air, and he makes the fair catch at the 10. Iowa has it back on offense, hoping to ride the wave to the end zone. They really didn't move the ball at all the last time they had it, and hoping for better. Turning it on! And he's got enough for the first down. They'll mark it at the 34.
And I tell you what, we can focus on the left side of the line of scrimmage because that's where the play starts. But you don't get big gains when you run out wide unless wide receivers, yes, wide receivers, commit to blocking, staying on their guys. Really good job on the outside by giving the running back space to make the big play.
Picks up the first down. A huge play, and they get it all the way to the 45-yard line. After an abysmal first half, goose egg on the scoreboard, the offense trying to find itself. It's first down. And the defense makes the stop after a minimal gain. After the 3-yard pickup, they come to the line 2nd and 7. Trying play action. Looking for an open area to his left. Great job by this savvy senior to know when he just needs to move the sticks with his feet. Someone not clear on the snap count. It'll be a false start, and they'll move it back.
False start on offense.
So the decision has been made, and the coach will take the penalty. Back behind the chains, 1st and 15. Use the play fake, now to throw. Fires to the tight end. Bounced off his feet.
Well, it's a nice job, too, of the quarterback after the play fake there, getting his eyes down the field. He had to get that to his tight end quickly, knowing he wasn't going to have a lot of space to run with after the catch.
And the Hawkeyes in a good spot here with 2nd and short. Wants to go up top. Pressure coming. And down goes the quarterback. There are penalty flags down, but it looks as if this might be on the offense. So the penalty will not be enforced. The defense declines and stands on the result of the play. On 3rd and long, he has to throw for it. And the deflection by the defense brings up 4th down. They'll play it safe and send out the field goal unit. He'll swing that big leg for 3 from 44 yards out. Smashes it between the uprights. That'll close the gap to 14.
And listen, y'all know in the booth and everywhere how I feel about kickers. Don't always love leaving it on their foot, so to speak, but nice job executing. He keeps doing stuff like that. I'll keep trotting him out there.
Here he comes from inside his own 5. Really disciplined job by the coverage unit to get down there and make the stop at the 19. Michigan ready to get that offense rolling again. Snags it quickly on the left. Crosses the 30. He knew exactly where he wanted to go with that one, and they've got enough for the 1st down.
The defense has got to be able to make a play at some point here in the 2nd half. You're down 2 possessions. You need to steal a possession badly. You need to have a takeaway. The coverage is going to have to be way tighter than on that last throw. Otherwise,
intercepted, just what the defense's doctor ordered. He was trying to get that return going. Instead, he'll hand it to his offense at the 38.
QBs have to understand, when I'm throwing against zones, I got to manipulate guys with my eyes. I might have to look one direction to create an opening to throw that ball or zip that ball in. I got to use touch. It's really hard when all eyes are on me, and you can tell the quarterback was not ready and did not make a good throw.
So we'll see this offense make its way out to start the drive. Jet sweep to the receiver. And the big defensive front wins the battle. No gain on that play. Plenty of distance between them and the sticks here on 2nd down. Motion from the wideout. 2nd down, he'll throw it. Fires to the right. Got a man. It's Johnson. Brought down just outside the red zone. He moves the chains. It's at the 22.
Nice route there by the tight end, making it real easy for his quarterback to find an easy completion.
The offense down to the 22 on 1st and 10. On the run, it's Washington. They make the stop after a pickup of 3 just inside the red zone at the 19. Got 3 on 1st down at 2nd and 7. Tight end in motion, see how the D reacts. Running back searching for a hole. He's going to lose a yard on that one. If every journey begins with a step, this offense needs to step into a 3rd down conversion and then try to turn it into some scores, and fast. Oh, they're after him. Pressure is on the way, and the pressure has arrived, and down he goes at the 30.
That's his 2nd sack of the ball game. That dude is getting after the quarterback offensively. What's my adjustment? First of all, I'm going to roll out away from him. I'm going to double team him. Let somebody else beat me, not that guy, because his speed off the edge is killing me.
Looks as if they'll send out the field goal unit. And after finishing off one drive with a field goal, they'll try it again, this time a 47-yard try. He's got it, showing off that big leg from 47 yards out. We check in with Kevin Connors. What's going on, Kevin?
Top 15 teams colliding, fellas, in a game of massive importance. Let's catch you up to speed. Tennessee is currently ahead in this one, but unlike the days of Neyland and Fulmer and Majors, this has not been a blowout today in Knoxville. They're up by 10 over Auburn. Implications galore inside the SEC, and we'll circle back if anything big should happen.
Oh, and how about that? I know Kevin and those guys will be keeping an eye on it for us. The lone back's got it. Punches ahead, they'll give him a yard to the 13. Picked up 2 yards on that last one. They need 8 on 2nd down. They'll try to get the edge on the left. Works his way into the traffic and picks up 3 to the 17. Kinnick is having a connection fit to try to help the D on 3rd down. On the move. Got the first down and still on his feet.
This shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. If you've got the lead in the 3rd quarter and you want to keep it, you got to bleed the clock. Best way to do that, run the football. And you're now seeing this offense call these run plays back to back. They are trying to be physical and they're trying to stay on the field.
We'll repeat the previous down, but this time the offense has 10 more yards it has to cover. Looking for a man. It's Underwood. Makes the catch. It's Pope. They stop him almost immediately. Short gain there and still a little ground to cover to pick up the first. On the ground, it's Marshall. He is going nowhere. Stop at the line of scrimmage. With the break, they had a little extra time to dial something up for this 3rd down play. We've reached the end of the period, and Michigan has the lead. And as we switch ends of the field, let's take a quick look at the national rankings. 1 quarter to go, and might we have the makings of a classic 4th quarter finish. It'll take some work to get to the sticks. It's 3rd and long from the 30. He's looking downfield to throw. Fires to the wideout. Wide open downfield. They've got it inside the 40 at the 39 as they pick up the first down.
Well, how about the offense setting that play up? We've seen earlier in the game a couple shorter throws. They're just trying to suck those safeties closer to the line of scrimmage, anticipating that they would get an opportunity to take a shot. They called the perfect play at the perfect time right there.
Powers through the defender.
At this point of the game, the offense has the lead, and the offensive coordinator knows they want to keep running the football. So he's going back, he's looking at his playlist, and he's saying, which runs work the best for me in this game? What can I lean on right here to make sure we win this one?
They make the stop, not a whole lot of ground picked up there, and they'll have work to do to get the first down. Trying to move the sticks on 3rd down through the air. And the quarterback goes down. There is a penalty flag on the field, but I think the defense might have. They'll decline the penalty here and let the result of that play stand. The Wolverines will call on their punt team. Let's see if he can help the coverage team out with this one. And that one will bounce and roll out of bounds. Let's see exactly where they mark it. He leaves it with the back. And he is stopped immediately by the big defensive lineman. They got nothing on the last play. It's 2nd and 10. The give to the back. Forges ahead. Picks up about 3 to the 29. Ball's at the 29. Defense can taste getting off the field. It's 3rd and long. Here's the snap. Itching to fire downfield. Got it set up on the outside. Able to work it to the 39-yard line, and that'll be a first down.
Well, trailing like they are right now in the 4th quarter, their execution offensively is just going to have to be at a premium. You can't afford a lot of incompletions at this point. Everybody is going to need to be on the same page moving forward.
The Hawkeyes with the 1st and 10. Zings it complete to the right. And the defense settled in to stop that one for a short gain. And now on 2nd down for this offense. Looking to fire. Finds the tight end. Dragged down, but they'll move the sticks for a first down. And the Hawkeyes have their offense in high gear. Using his feet. And this one will be stopped for no gain. Lost 1 on that last one. It's 2nd and 11. Back to pass. Here's a hit. And the defense picks up a sack, getting the quarterback down at the 44.
And how about that rush off of the edge? You could tell, man, playing pass all the way. Your team has a lead. Getting later in the football game, he's just pinning his ears back, and he flies off the edge and gets the big sack.
The defense all revved up after that earlier sack, and they'll try to stop him right here. On 3rd and long, you'll need to push it downfield. Fires to the tight end. And that corner came in hot despite knowing that he was giving up some size. He'll get away another punt. He's been really active today, and no doubt he's going to earn his varsity letter. Touchdown, Wolverines! Special teams coming through, the third aspect of the game, delivering big time. They give themselves a little more cushion as they try to reel off their 4th straight win. A dynamic, explosive return. The sliver of daylight exploding through it, just vaporizing and reappearing on the other side and housing it.
And punt returners are so quick, you can play touch football in an elevator with them and lose. You can't even get your hand on there. So quick, so elusive. Does such a great job making people miss, but still going full speed up the field to get all the way to the end zone and score the TD.
On the move from inside his 5. Not a lot of space to be found. Good hustle by the coverage team, and they stop him at the 21. Iowa has the ball back on offense. Weeks like this are tricky, but you have to respond better than they have, and I would expect they'll take a sprinting away across the 50 and down and out of bounds at the 44. A good pickup on that one. The offense getting set for a first down from the 45.
You know, as the head coach of this team, this is one positive you're going to take away from this game, is that your players don't quit and are still willing to fight. There's obviously a lot of things they've got to iron out offensively, and we've seen that today. But I do love the grit they're showing here late, still trying to make plays.
The pass is incomplete, but there's a flag in the backfield, and that shot the quarterback took might have been a little too much. A late hit moves the ball up 15 yards. The offense comes back out with a new set of downs after the penalty. The inside handoff. Breaks into the open. Nice pickup on the ground there. They'll move the sticks with the first down. The Hawkeyes are threatening in the red zone. Wants to go up top on first down. Grabbed behind the line. It's Washington. Trying to hit him with a quick game on first down, and nothing doing there. They'll go to work in the air on second down. Firing to the right, complete. They get it down to the 7 on that pass play, in prime position for a score. The terrain gets rough this deep in the red zone. Third down, they can't pick up the first without scoring. Here comes the heat. Just threw that one away to avoid disaster. There is no point in a field goal here, so the offense stays on the field on fourth down. He'll try to throw and pick up the first down. Got his man quickly. Touchdown, Hawkeye! Nice catch and good work afterwards to get it into the end zone. We talk about pocket presence. There's also pocket punishment that's part of it, and he was able to withstand it and deliver the football.
It comes with the job description, Reese. You know as a quarterback that this is going to happen eventually. You are going to get hit. So why not then deliver touchdowns deep down the field? Doesn't get any better than that.
And after making the extra point, they're down 24-13. If they're going to pull off this big rally, they'll need to get this one back. They line up for the onside kick. That's why they call them the hands team. They're able to secure the onside kick. So here comes the Michigan offense. After giving up that last touchdown, they still got the lead, but now feeling a little bit of pressure to answer with one of their own, David.
And it gets a little bit tight. Listen, we're getting later in the ball game. This offense punted last time. They got to find a few plays, Palmer, that they really love here. Steal some momentum back in this ball game.
They do, David, and after watching their defense just get gashed down the field that last drive, the dream drive for this offense would be to matriculate the ball down the field, eat up some clock, and finish it off with a touchdown.
Off play action. Swings it out to his running back. Timeout called there by the defense, desperate to get the ball back and save as much time as possible. This crowd knows they have to bring it in big moments, and one of those has arrived. To the air, it's Underwood. He's got it on the move. Gets it inside the 5, down to the 4, and it'll be 1st and goal. The defense uses their second timeout of the half as they try to get their act together. They'll dial up the run on 1st and goal. He steps and powers and works his way. They finally get him down at the 2. The defense out of sorts, and the head coach will use a timeout here. He'll run it to the right, looking for the goal line. Touchdown, Michigan! And they take it in for 6 more points. They've now extended that lead, and they're trying to hang on for a Week 12 victory.
Another rushing touchdown. That's now 2 on the game. This offense thought they could come into this one running the ball, being the more physical team, and they look like it right now.
And now with the extra point, they're up by 18 here in the 4th. And for a quick update, let's go to Kevin Connors in the studio.
Guys, the big top 15 battle is underway, and it's been very interesting so far. Tennessee looks like a bunch of world beaters right now, marching all over the field like Smokey in the pregame. They're up 14 over Auburn. Games like these just mean more in the SEC, and we'll circle back if anything big happens you should see.
Thanks for the update on that one, Kevin. Let us know when it goes final. Clock stops, and we've reached the 2-minute timeout. This offense looking for anything to cut into this big lead. Looking to throw on 1st down. It's complete to the right. That's the kind of play that can really get you going as they have a 1st down at the 43. Looking downfield on 1st down. Makes the grab. Really nice job there by both guys to throw and the catch to work that defense and get the 1st down. They just keep firing. Got it behind the line. It's Washington. He's all the way down to the 27-yard line, and they are threatening. Everybody has to be set. They have to get it off. To the air on 1st down. Got his man on the right. The ball is down at the 14 after that grab. And the Hawkeyes are in the hurry-up. Trying to cap this drive with the pass. Quick strike complete.
A nice job by the QB there, timing out that drag throw. It's zone coverage, so he's got to make sure he gets it to his receiver in a window to allow him to catch the ball and then turn it upfield.
Makes the grab over the middle. He's brought down, but there's a flag on the field. Let's see what the call is. They'll back him up with a holding penalty this time. They've spent most of the day backing them up with sacks anyway. Under fire. Caught in the backfield. It's Kruger. The ball is down at the 14 after that grab. It'll be 3rd and long. From the gun, wants to pass. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown, Iowa! Grabbed in the end zone to put 6 on the board.
And a nice touchdown, continuing to fight, continuing to play. This one, it's pretty much over. Down multiple possessions this late in the football game. It would take a miracle, but nice job by this offense continuing to fight, push the ball down the field, make plays. Lining up for the PAT.
Hit that one with some aggression for the point after. They're definitely up against it. Time running out, down 2 possessions. They'll try the onside kick.
Yeah, and this is why you put your hands team on the field most of the time when you know it's coming, and you put those guys that are great block. They go blow somebody up. The next guys catch the football, secure it, get your butt on the ground, and most of the time when you do this, the ball game is over.
How much fun was that one? I mean, you just dream of having games like that every time you go into the booth. I'll watch those 2 teams play anytime.
Yeah, that's what's fun about good teams. Really good teams squaring off. Like, there wasn't a lot of difference between these 2 squads. We could watch these every week. Love calling these games because they're competitive. Great talent on the field. Palmer, unfortunately, somebody had to lose.
Yeah, and the higher-ranked team was ranked higher for a reason. At the end of the day, when it came down to it, they made the biggest plays in the most critical moments. Both of these teams have tremendous playmakers, and they're both going to make a lot of noise late in the college football season, but give the higher-ranked team tons of credit. They earned this one.
That's going to do it from here. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and you've been watching another presentation of EA Sports College Football.